Father, I had a question for you.
All right, what's up?
How do we live college life as true Catholics? I have a college Catholic conundrum.
Sounds good. I don't know. Let's call a friend. I've got one. Oh, I've got my phone here.
So Father, who's the friend you're calling up?
Christian.
Christian.
Well, he's a Christian.
He's a Christian?
No pun intended, but he's
a Christian.
a young man that might have some answers for us.
He's going to answer some questions on how to live college life as a Catholic, good Catholic. He's somewhat of an example, somewhat. He's gone through rough things, but let's call him over. Christian, come on over. Come on over, Christian. Oh, there he is.
Surprise.
He's in the back.
Big
man.
Hope you don't mind. I brought my own candle.
Oh my God! What is that?
Light of the world.
Hopefully we don't sit off
Smoky.
the smoke detectors here.
So explain that candle. What's that all about?
It's an analogy to my faith in college.
So you walk around the college campus with that?
Yeah, that's my fire burning. So,
Awesome. Well, welcome.
Yeah,
Thank
good to have you.
He actually has a podcast of his own.
Yeah,
We can introduce that later, but it's called
Go Forth.
Go For
How
It.
do you spell that for our new listeners?
Yeah, so Gaux Forth, Geaux, the Cajun spelling.
The Cajun spelling. Go forth.
Louisiana style.
Yeah.
So welcome to the podcast,
Thank you.
or whatever this video thing is. Great. So we're going to talk a little bit about your experience as being a Catholic
Okay,
in college.
sounds
We
good.
need to give
And the
just a
conundrum.
brief bio though. Where you're from, how old are you,
Mm,
and how tall are you?
how tall am I?
Right. And anything else you think is interesting for people to know.
Cool.
Give context.
Cool. Yeah. My name's Christian Rabelais. I'm about to turn 21 in a few weeks. So
Birthday party.
Big
yeah,
21.
big birthday party. Yeah. I'm from Mandeville, Louisiana, which is where we're at right now. One cool, interesting thing about me is that I can play the harmonica. Just one song on the harmonica.
Piano Man.
Piano Man.
We
I
knew
knew
it.
it.
I didn't know that actually.
Because that's what people usually play when they get the harmonica for the first
So
Ugh,
we're going to talk
predictable.
about your faith.
time.
Perfect.
Yes.
So what has been kind of like your backstory? Like, how did you live your faith before college, and what was kind of like, I don't know, something that you think would be honorably mentioned?
Yeah, well, in high school, my faith wasn't very strong. I grew up Catholic, Catholic family, and around my senior year of high school, one of you legionaries that's currently not here right now, he invited me to do what's called a mission year, which y'all know about. Where
Gap year
a
in
gap year,
college,
yeah.
or after high school.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I was able to do during this gap year was I got to go live in community with your brothers up in DC.
Wait, weren't you in DC? Were you together? No.
He followed my after
Yeah.
when I left.
When
You
you-
arrived.
It was kind of crazy. My first week there was his last week there. So we overlapped a
traded
week.
places.
Yeah.
And I've
came
come to
here
your
and you went there.
hometown,
Yeah.
stomping ground.
And then you went to where I was
Yeah.
from. Okay, yeah. Anyways, but during that year, my faith really blossomed. Living in community with priests will really do that. Because every time I had a question, like a deep question, I always got the best, like, straightforward answer, you know? Because
Your conundrums.
my conundrums.
A lot of conundrums.
That's a
Exactly.
big word. That's good.
Conundrum.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of my background. And then I just finished my second year at Louisiana Tech. So
What's your mascot up there?
it's a bulldog.
Really? Like the
Bulldog.
Georgia.
Good Oaks.
Like Georgia Bulldogs. No,
Bulldogs.
don't talk about Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh, no,
Oops.
not
This
Georgia
territory.
Bulldogs.
No. Tigers.
Go Tigers.
So,
Yeah.
so what was your, I don't know, like what's the biggest issue that you think college students face when they go from, maybe from Catholic families, but just in general, when they get on campus, no matter what their upbringing in their faith wise, but like, what are they looking for the most when they get on campus?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the biggest problems would be whenever most of these kids go from high school to college, it's like their first taste of freedom, right? Away from their family, where their decisions are up to them, you know? They're not being monitored all the time. Like, where are you going? What are you doing? So especially if you grow up in a very, like, strict household, whenever you get to college, like, some people tend to go crazy, you know? Like, with the parties and stuff.
It's your first experience of freedom.
Exactly.
And a lot of experiments of...
Do you want an analogy? I love analogies. Jello. So you have jello, you know how you make it? You warm up the water, dissolve the little packet of stuff, and you put it into a mold and you put it in the fridge. Okay. Sometimes you take it out and you take the mold off, like the cup or whatever, and the jello just like it wasn't coagulated. It wasn't like firmed up. So once you take the structure away of what you grew up in high school, it depends like what kind of jello are you? If you retain those principles and that structure in your own life, or do you just like? But we all need structure, right? So
that's very true, and that was something that the mission year, like, I'm so grateful that it provided me with that, like, structure and formation. I don't think I went too crazy when I got to college. I think I did okay.
So what are, like, I don't know, like the 5, principles or 5 elements that you think that are like key for your life on campus? Like, somebody's looking for structure. Let's look for like things that will keep them, that jello together, right?
Yeah,
strong knit. So maybe
there's certain elements that kind of guided you, or that you're still figuring out. Because I don't know if you have the perfect college lifestyle, but there's certain things that I think we could present to people and maybe help them.
I'd say first and foremost, the most important thing is community, for sure.
Friend circles.
Exactly. Who are you hanging out with? You know, are you getting involved with the Catholic Center at your school? Do you have a strong Catholic Center? Whenever you're looking at colleges, are you, looking into that first? Because it's super important. At my school, at LA Tech, we don't have the best Catholic Center, which is a big bummer for me because, I really enjoy a good Catholic community. But growing up in Regnum Christi, we have a certain charism. And my charism doesn't really fit the one at LA Tech. They're very charismatic, very praise and worshipy,
I mean, some people like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to find where you fit and where you can grow, right?
Yeah.
Some people go to college with their group friends already in high school, but no matter what, usually you kind of stick to people that are in the same, sectors of study, or if you're in a sport. So there's different like groups that you could find, but I think, like you said, if you're wanting to find something there on campus, you have to look for it. So look for those people that you're like, I want to be like them, right?
Definitely.
So the groups are really important where you hang out.
I think that's something I've failed to do so far. So don't look to me for an example for that.
But you're searching.
Yeah.
And you're finding.
Well, the thing is, for me, for my mission year, I made so many good like friends from there that are my age, that are in college. So I usually just keep in touch with them. But yeah.
So friend groups, really important.
Very important. Most important.
So probably the next one is, so once you have your friend groups, like your, I don't know, like you said, you had habits in the mission year of like, you went to mass every day in the mission year, which is really awesome. Those experiences, it's not like you could do that for the rest of your life, but you could try. But like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like I'd say number 2 in a broad sense would just be human formation in itself.
Okay.
Because that's another thing. Once you move out of your home and you're on your own, things can fall apart in your human formation very easily.
The more basic needs.
Yeah, like
your dorm room wasn't like immaculate.
Mine was pretty clean.
He made his bed. Did you make your bed?
Yeah,
he made his bed every day.
That was something that I did do right.
And you wash the dishes.
Laundry.
Yeah, laundry. I even wash my sheets like once every few months instead of like once a year. That's great.
That's
Sick.
Wait, compared to a lot of
Hey, yeah, you should say a lot of people. I know people that are at college. They haven't washed
All
their
right,
sheets yet.
moving on. That's just.
All
they don't even have sheets.
They don't even. Actually, that's true as well. Sadly, but yeah, human formation, super important.
What does that mean?
Just
Human formation.
like, whatever, keeping your things tidy, your hygiene, things like that. You know, and whenever you're on top of those things, your spiritual life becomes a lot easier because it gives you this peace, right? When everything's in order. When
It's like getting to study, right? And if you don't have your
exactly
your desk, your area,
it's not
like everything you need,
yeah. If everything around you is out of whack, how's your spiritual life going to be organized and good?
Keep your room clean.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of a meme from Jordan Peterson, right?
Yeah.
If you want to change the world, clean your room.
Exactly.
Or make your bed.
It's so true, though. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, those little human things, which we sometimes take for granted or let go by. You know, I remember when I was in seminary, about 5-6 years ago, I had my room immaculate, like sheets, clean and bed made and the desk was perfect. And here comes in my superior, a brother at the time. He comes over, goes, "Oh, it's a great room. Yeah, it's just perfect." And looks up to my, you have the beam on top of your door. He goes like this. He goes, "Oh, missed the spot."
Dang.
And I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, come on, no one ever sees that. But yeah, like attention to details.
Yeah.
Military academy, almost.
But,
I don't know if I was that on top of keeping my door.
No, but
clean.
that's different. At least you wash your sheets once a month.
Yeah.
I think other than like the externals of cleanliness, things like human formation also deals with the way you interact with people, right? Your etiquette, your courtesy, your like those elements of, I don't know, just living with others.
Social skills.
Social skills
Definitely.
that could be neglected, and that has a big influence on, I don't know, your friend circles. Like how do you connect with people? And it's a thing you have to form. Like your formation means you're continually trying to grow.
Yeah.
So how would you achieve that, like a human formation side, if you don't have the tools to start off growing?
Yeah, I think the first thing to get on top of human formation is having a routine in your daily life. You know, like having a schedule that you go by.
That's huge.
Like when I wake up, I'm gonna make my bed. I'm gonna do morning prayers every morning. I'm gonna wake up at the same time every morning, even if my first class isn't until 12. I'm still gonna wake up at 8. You know, still trying to go to bed on time. I think that's super important, is schedule. And I know I'd say 95% of college students don't have a daily schedule.
Discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my freshman year of college, first class, more often than not, I was like at 11. And you woke up whenever you wanted.
Yeah.
And then, anyway.
So you're, all right, it's Catholic, what is it? College Catholic Conundrum. I'm trying to remember his acronym. But the Catholic part of it. So you have the circles of friends. You have your human formation. What's the Catholic element of that?
Well, I mean, that's pretty obvious, is the prayer life and your personal spiritual life. That's huge as well. And those two things, the first two things you mentioned, those influence the personal spiritual life, right? Like we already talked about. But yeah, I mean, your prayer life, how much time are you putting into your prayer life every day? Because that's super important. If you have the first two things, but you don't have a prayer life, then obviously something's wrong.
Yeah. Your priorities, right?
Exactly. So I said the first two things are super important, not because they themselves are important, but because of how they influence the spiritual life.
It kind of gives a prerequisite, right?
Exactly.
Having
They all go
success
hand in hand, right? They support each other, and they build off each other.
Yeah, the prayer life is definitely the most important, but it's a lot harder to have the prayer life without those two things.
Yeah. So what is your...
What's your prayer life?
Or what would you suggest? Like, because I've spoken with people who are in college, like, I have no time to pray.
Yeah.
Or I have no time. Well, it's true. Sometimes you're like just bogged down with classes and with studies, the mandatory readings or the papers I have to get done. So I don't know. I think the big thing would be balance, right?
Yeah.
Or what you can do. Expectations, I guess.
I can say my first year I use that excuse all the time. And when I talk to my spiritual director, he's like, "How's your prayer life?" I'm like, "Father, like I really just have no time. Because I'm an engineering major, so like I always have homework." And I was like, "Father, I just can't do it. I just can't. I don't have time."
And he's just like, "Okay."
He's like, "You can't even pray your rosary like 20 minutes." I'm like, "Father, I'm no time, no time." That's bogus. All right, everybody in college. Yeah, you definitely can make time for prayer.
Yeah,
wake up 30 minutes earlier.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Do you make time to eat?
Yeah,
Do you make time to watch a Netflix movie?
Exactly.
Do you watch? Yeah. So there's priorities, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
There's I was just reading an article, and Pope Benedict was speaking about materialism and secularism. Not to get into it too much to derail this, but it's materialism where we give so much importance or priority to the material world, which is like what we can touch and feel, and the whole spiritual element of our life gets neglected, or even thought that, I don't know, that doesn't exist anymore for me. So I could work out, I could rest well, I could do all this kind of stuff, but my whole spiritual world gets it starves.
Yeah. Or
secularism, which is where society, my friend groups, that weighs so much more in my decisions than what the church asks of in my religion or faith.
Or faith asks as well.
So when it put in the scales, you play rugby, right?
Yeah.
You could be like, well, this weekend I've got a rugby tournament, and Sunday we got a game. I won't be able to get to mass.
Yeah.
Where it should be where faith influences my secular, which is like the Latin word for time or for the world, or like where my faith influences the world, not vice versa.
Yeah.
Totally.
So prayer life.
Yeah. How has that been, at least your first 2 years there? Like living it out, and I don't know, you can even share like some struggles that you might have had.
Yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster for sure. I know when I first got to college, I was fresh off of my mission year, so I was excited. So the first few months went super well.
So mission year was like daily mass, daily prayer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like half an hour of
meditation every morning, 30 minutes every morning.
Rosary every day. Confession whenever you wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was pretty on top of it first few months, and then that quickly fell off. I'm going to be honest. Like, college got the best of me first year. But yeah, I mean, it had ups and downs, right? So I would fall off for a month or a few weeks at a time, and then I'd pick back up. But then I'd fall off again. And that, like, weighed down on me for a while, because I thought, man, I'm really not firm in my faith. But I've come to figure out that, spiritual life is a roller coaster, especially in college. So that's one thing, you can't get discouraged whenever you fall off. For anybody who's listening to this that's in college, like, don't get discouraged whenever your prayer life might take a turn, or like you just have to hop back into it.
What's a good like minimum or like baseline that you say, okay, I could always get back to this?
Morning prayers, night prayers.
Kind of bookends to your day.
Yeah.
Starting off with something, connecting to God.
And then you end off connecting to God.
Bare minimum. Morning prayers, night prayers.
5 minutes. Sacraments,
and then also,
obviously. Sunday Mass.
Going back to the morning prayers thing, like each one has their own way of doing a morning prayer or a night prayer. And some people read the gospel for 5 minutes. Some people just say some spontaneous prayer. Right? Some people have those actual made prayers that they do.
And self-offertory, offering yourself to God.
And morning offerings.
And a conscious exam in the evening, something like. Yeah. So that's a good morning prayers, night prayers.
Yeah, completely. So, yeah, first year was big roller coaster, and then this past year, my second year, was pretty black and white. Like the first half, I was not doing super well in my prayer life. But then after Christmas, Exodus 90 started.
The famous Exodus 90.
Yeah.
You're a X-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exodus 90 this year was incredible. Like, my prayer life was probably the best it's ever been. For sure.
So that's a structured routine of some sacrifice, some asceticism, right?
Yeah, and that's why. Because I had the routine. I had the asceticism.
Sacrifice you have to make. Do you recommend that not for everybody, or for people who would need a little jump start to the faith? Again.
I think I would recommend it for everybody. I mean,
give it a shot.
Yeah, Father Jeremy.
It's super intense, but it's
2
worth
years in
it.
a row. Good. So we got our friends group, you've got your human formation or your, then you have your prayer life.
Yeah.
What would be kind of like that fourth element that you think would be, like once you've got all this, how do you find, like, am I doing the right thing? Connecting to somebody?
One thing he did mention was, sorry, I'm just adding to this, but was having someone to guide you, like a spiritual director or a chaplain or someone you could talk to.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I've had y'all as spiritual directors, the Legionaries. So I don't know exactly what it looks like for every college student, but just having someone that you can talk to, it could even be like a best friend that you look up to, spiritual life. It's got to be someone you look up to, like someone that calls you higher, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just having someone that you can really open up to and hold nothing back and say like what's been troubling you, what's been going wrong in life, what's been going right in life, so that they can guide you.
Yeah, they become more like mentors, because at level 1 of your social support, you have your friends, guys you hang out with, and then you have someone who you actually spill deeper things that they can actually guide you, right? And it's rare that college students have that, right? I mean, those who grew up in like good Catholic circles, like you have those. But
yeah, and I think a good spiritual director, probably for all ages, but all seasons in life, would just help you set goals, right?
Yeah.
Where am I right now? Where's God calling me? And it's like a map, and what's the path to get there?
Yeah.
And how do I deal with obstacles that are in the path? And how do I reorient myself when I get lost off the path? So that's just kind of somebody like a spiritual director that would just keep you accountable to the goals that you've set for yourself.
Yeah.
And challenge you to remember to keep God as a priority and keep moving forward. Don't just stand still or go backwards.
Yeah, a lot of times you just need to say some things out loud to realize like you've been crazy or you've been lying to yourself. Like whatever, whenever I tell Father, like, yeah, I just can't make time, I'm just really busy here. He's like, quit being ridiculous. And then I'd hear myself saying that and I'd be like watching an hour-long Netflix special. Like, okay, I can totally make time,
Yeah. And it's not much time. Like, going back to the prayer life, if you sum up all those essential prayer moments, you won't even hit an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people can binge watch Netflix to the wee hours of the morning.
We're all human. We all can do it.
So, anyway, it takes a lot of willpower. It takes a lot of discipline. And something this came to mind, I think would be very important, is to ask yourself, like, what motivates me to keep my Catholic life on fire, right? Because it's easy, as you said, it's easy to lose the battle after a couple of months because no one's intentionally supporting you. You don't have a family structure. You're not in the parish, right? And it's easy to say, whatever, I'll figure it out when I get there, right? So you ask yourself, like, what motivates me? What's that deeper desire in me that keeps the fire alive? I don't know if you want to share something about that or. Yeah,
actually, that's something that's been on my heart a lot lately. Something that's been like my focus in prayer. Like, why am I Catholic? Why do I do all the things I do? Why do I set time aside for prayer? I don't know the exact answer, but I know one thing that's been in my prayer a lot lately is love, obviously, and then asking in prayer, like, Lord, give me the desire to love you more, because love has to be the root of it all.
It's a call, right? I mean, question: why are we all Catholic? Right? Why are we? It's because we've been called by Christ, right? It's a personal invitation. He loved us first, and that's why we respond with love. And 1 Timothy, right, talks about fan into flame those embers of our faith. Right? Yeah. And that's what we're always trying to do. Yeah, it gets tired, it gets cold, like the charcoal and the incense, right? It gets like a crust over the top of it, and we just have to like fan it into flame.
So it blows out the candle, just kind of relight it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so you've got those friend circles, you've got that human formation, also spiritual formation, right? What you read,
Yeah.
always trying to up the level of your knowledge about the faith.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have that prayer life. Right? How are you really deepening in your relationship with God, the sacraments? Fourth, we have the spiritual director. But do you have like a lay guide too, like just like a spiritual coach, let's say?
Yeah,
but
well,
also
for me, it's my best friend. You know, I can always, we always keep each other accountable for whatever's going on in our lives. So it's really good to have that person,
like a best buddy, best friend. That's
exactly.
Reminds you who you are.
Yeah, tell you whenever you're tripping, whenever you're being crazy, like, yeah,
smack you.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
And then I'd say there's one more important thing. And that's just the mission, like staying involved. That's
being active.
Yeah, just staying active in
having
your
an
church.
outlet for all the stuff you receive, like to give.
How hard has that been? Or because I know college students, even in my college life, like meeting with your buddies, even meeting with your buddies to pray, like that's easy.
Yeah.
But to take time out to do something extra, it's like if you say I don't have time to pray, imagine that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The other C word is commitment. Committed so much, I can't do another thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. Yeah, enlighten us.
What does that look like,
Master?
So
in college life?
In college
your experience.
life, at school, I know for me personally, the college that I go to, we live in the Bible Belt, so there's a lot of Protestants. I'd be willing to say like 90% of our school is Protestant. So for me personally, that looks like having conversations with these Protestants a lot, like forcing these conversations that make them uncomfortable. Also me uncomfortable. You know, like I live with 4 Protestant guys.
Oh really?
Yeah, and so sometimes I'll leave the Bible out on the counter and like leave it open to John 6 with like a bookmark right next to it, you know, and just whatever, you know, just making conversation, you know.
Are there like organized stuff too that you could do? Because I know some campuses have focus missionaries or the Catholic Center or Evangelical Catholics. So like there's different programs on a lot of campuses, but obviously yours doesn't have much.
Yeah, I mean they do missions.
Yeah.
Every year they have a mission trip to Nicaragua, I think.
South America
exactly.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere there. Some of that.
They do that, and then they also have local things they do, like food drives and stuff. But yeah, I mean, getting involved with students.
Isn't it fulfilling? Like just to like give your time and something else to somebody else. I think that's one thing we struggle with is like that individualism where it's all about me and I don't take into account that I'm connected to so many people in my life, spiritually, but also like socially. Yeah. And that individualism that we struggle with in our society today is just like, it's all about me.
Yeah.
And I'm at the center and I have to fend for myself and I'm just trying to navigate this world. But that Catholic worldview of there's a whole mystical body of Christ that I could reach through my activity, my self-giving, and when you do, I don't know, like when you talk to a homeless person and just be concerned with them, like Pope Francis says, reach the marginalized, it's something inside of us just thrives, right? It's like it wakes up and it's like, oh, that was so beautiful to like touch the person of Christ in this, most needy.
And you know what? It's those moments that answer Deacon's question of like
what motivates you?
What motivates you, right? It's like those fulfilling moments, especially like during the mission,
Mission, awesome. Those are good elements. Friend circles, formation, human and spiritual also. Your prayer life, the sacraments, a spiritual director or mentor, accompaniment, somebody that's like with you through the ups and downs, and then mission.
So someone who lives those elements, it's ideal. It'd be awesome. And once they do that, provide structure. It's a good starting point, and hopefully a lot of college Catholics can start finding
conquering
ways.
that conundrum.
Yeah. And there's so many ways. There are tons of ways because colleges are different. People you're with are different. You're in the Bible Belt. Some people opt for actual Catholic universities, right? Some people go to community college. Some people don't even go to college, right?
Yeah.
And
different
these
realities
can be applied anywhere.
Yeah.
But I have a question. So because Father Jeremy always does the surprise endings, I have a surprise ending.
All right, let's see it.
Wow.
Okay. Meet that phone. No, I'm just kidding. So.
Wait, who's the question for?
For you.
Oh,
Of course. Father Jeremy.
Okay.
I'm immune. It's you.
He always asks the question to me. So
okay.
This time my thing to you. It's a hierarchy. So share with us your most awkward Catholic moment in college.
I'm
And
gonna need you to rephrase that in the form of a question.
not okay.
Not a command. That gives you time to think.
Can you
This is Jeopardy.
Can you kindly share with us your
That's
most
not a question.
awkward?
What has been your most awkward moment in college?
I'm so diplomatic.
Just go with it.
My most okay. I actually know exactly what it is.
Awkward, yeah.
So, during my freshman year, when I was living in the dorms, somehow I got roped into a conversation at like 4 in the morning. Not 4 in the morning, like 2 in the morning. It was me and it was 3 atheists, and they were just like bashing me with questions. And let me give you all a piece of advice. Don't get outnumbered in conversations.
Especially at 3 in the morning.
You will lose every time because they can just keep bouncing off of each other while you're just sinking in the mud. But yeah, they were just bashing me with questions, and then I started trying to get into like all this crazy stuff like Eucharistic miracles and yeah, it was interesting.
Like what questions, if you want to share, what questions did they ask you?
Oh my gosh.
Because maybe Father Jeremy can enlighten.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago now. I mean, it was stuff like how can the Eucharist be real? Like it's like very fundamental questions, you know. And then it was also stuff I was asking them a lot of questions. I was trying to go for the Socratic method. That wasn't working very well either. I was like, you think that life is just you die and it's all over?
Best defense is an attack, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. And they were saying
Direct.
like, well, it's all about making life better for the next person. And I was like, how does that make any sense? Like, why? Why would that be life? Like, the purpose of your life is to make life better for the next person.
Have you had follow-up conversations with them afterwards, or they just kind of like went in for blood and left?
That's the awkward part about it all. Was that?
Now
Yeah,
get
they
the
don't.
meat potatoes.
They don't like me very much.
Oh.
After that, so
It was kind of a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Like no one wins.
Over.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christian. Always a pleasure.
thank
Talk
y'all so
soon.
much for doing this podcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We would. I know you also want to promote your podcast.
Ah, yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, he spoke about it at the beginning, but
So what do you talk about with? It's with Jude, right?
Jude, exactly.
So it's called
Go forth.
Go Forth, not third, not fifth.
Forth.
So-
Well, FOU, not the number
Oh.
fourth. Go forth.
I know. Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go. So
Yeah.
what's the topics that you cover?
So we just have very broad conversations on pretty basic Catholic topics like the Eucharist.
So it's more of a
confession.
conversational tone.
Yeah, much more conversational. It's a lot of nonsense. So if you're in for a good laugh,
So you're both the same age, friends. That's your friend that
that's
you're talking
yeah,
about.
that's what I was talking about.
Good.
Yeah, we're just two dudes trying to figure it out,
Awesome.
trying to figure it all out.
it's a
So.
great time.
So do you have a catchphrase that you finish with usually in your
Oh,
podcast?
yeah.
Should we finish with that?
That was a softball. So what is it?
Well, Father, I know you're pretty used to saying this, but are y'all ready to end this?
Let's
We're
do
all
it.
right,
Let's
yeah.
do it. I've been waiting for that the whole time.
Go forth. The podcast has ended.
Thanks.
Speedy God.
Thank you. All right.